We're about to start, everyone.
Okay, ready? Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Lewisboro Town Board meeting, today, July 22nd, 2024. And for those in the room, there's an exit towards the front of the building and an exit to the rear. If you will, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. And welcome to News 12. So we'll start with the first item, which is a public hearing on the proposed the new amendments to the comprehensive master plan. So this is actually a rewriting of our 1985 comprehensive plan. So I'd like to motion that we open up the public hearing.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone here have anything to say? Name, hamlet, and 3 minutes.
Sure. Barbara Mangione, Golden's Bridge. I'm going to read from this. It's easier. I've already spoken several times to the board regarding a couple of discrepancies in the proposed master plan in reference to the major overriding goals versus some of the policies and or procedures that were recommended. Tonight, I want to express my concern regarding the Westchester County Planning Board referral review, in particular the section where Mr. Richard Hyman addresses affirmatively further fair housing, or AFFH. He claims the county wants the plan, our plan, to identify barriers in constructing AFFH units in the town. And once again, he points to Golden's Bridge as a location for additional housing. Golden's Bridge just built 48 affordable housing units. We are the most densely populated hamlet in town and also have the highest amount of multiple family dwellings. If additional affordable housing was to be built, the town needs to develop these units in other parts of the town. Our roads and infrastructure are reaching capacity. Additional units mean stress on the water supply, and in addition, Golden's Bridge abuts sensitive wetland and watershed areas. I'm happy to see that the consultant firm responded to this correspondence with their opinion that before mandating any more affordable units to be built, that the town should conduct a housing survey. It's my hope that this board does all it can to prevent further eroding of the semi-rural nature of the Golden's Bridge hamlet, and in the future, when entertaining applications for affordable housing, density housing, etc., that this be spread around the rest of the town. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. Anyone else like to speak? No. How about on Zoom? Oh, sorry.
Jen,
Go ahead, Jen.
stand
I see
up.
you. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Hi, good evening, Jen Cipriano, Vista. And I just want to speak to the county referral letter also. It highlights many of the aspects of the comp plan that need a little bit of strengthening. I also too want to speak to the housing and pedestrian bicycle safety segments of that letter. And in speaking to Barbara's point and keeping the rural nature of our town, in order to do so, we need smart growth, and we need to figure out how we increase housing, which is going to support our businesses and our local agriculture, because people who need to work need places to live that are within commuting distance, and some people cannot commute. So they need to get to work safely, whether on bicycle or, by other means of transportation, which is also highlighted in the letter. We need to strengthen our public transportation. And so in order to maintain this rural character that we have, the town is going to need to find money for all of this. And so if we don't strengthen our businesses that are here, we don't encourage small agriculture, that's not going to happen. And then, outside entities are going to come in and mandate that we do it. So I think that we're onto the right path. We need to strengthen the plan a little bit better, to identify the areas that we can do these things in a smart way that makes everyone happy. And And I just also want to point out, I think a great way to do that, and it needs to be pointed out in the plan, is that we need a town planner that really hones everyone in and hones in all these other committees as well. I think a lot of decisions that are being made by our planning board and CAC are a little disjointed. The people that put together this plan, none of them had represented the agricultural community, the business community. And so a lot of those segments of the comp plan are a little weak because those entities weren't represented. And so I think though a good town planner could bring all of these people together and give us something that is going to make everyone happy. So thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Anyone else would like to, this, again, public hearing on the comp plan?
The comprehensive
Comprehensive
plan,
plan. Yeah.
formerly known as the master plan.
Nicholas Lundbajensky, Lewisboro Hamlet. I would just echo what Jen said. I think, this community, you go back to the earliest times, people came and they produced food. They made it here. That had a sustainable system that didn't lead to the kind of problems we have on a global scale. So having specific incentives where you can have small scale sustainable agriculture on a 3-acre lot, doing small scale, do it in a way that it's not, it keeps that legacy of Lewisboro and it offsets carbon. You don't have to go to the store that something was on a truck to come, even with the best intentions, you try to, buy by the label of sustainability. There's nothing that compares to going in your backyard, like my daughter did today, and taking the eggs and making that part of the nutrition of our home. So I think a lot of times in many communities, that becomes another flashpoint issue. The rooster crowing at the break of day could trigger everybody. As far as I know, all my neighbors like the rooster, and and there was a time when I wanted to get rid of him. But if you do it in the right way, the neighbors, that's why they moved here. That's why my wife and I moved here, to try to connect that legacy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick. Anyone else would like to speak? How about on Zoom?
There are no hands up.
Okay, great. Let's see. Greg, just your opinion, should we jump to the, we'll close the public hearing, but then we jump, okay, so motion to close the public hearing on the comprehensive plan.
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion. There were comments made by our consultant that there were some things that they wanted to see incorporated into the plan. There were comments made here this evening. I myself have gone over the county comments. I'm not exactly thrilled, but I know that we don't have to incorporate everything that the county said, but I don't know if we can close the public hearing if we're going to incorporate any of the comments into it. If we're going to change any of it, that we either have to leave it open to see if we'll change it. If we don't change it, then we can vote it on it next time. But if we are going to change it, then we have to go through the whole process again, because we're going to have to publicize it.
Correct.
Again. So
if we table it then for.
Motion to continue, right?
So, yeah, so there was an update to the comp plan that our consultant provided today that includes some of the comments.
Provided today?
Yes.
yes,
Okay,
So
so then we have to
can't
keep,
vote on it.
yeah. So motion to keep open
We
the,
have to withdraw the motion to.
Well, hold on.
Was there a motion to close in a second? I don't think there was.
No,
There was no second. There was,
Okay,
we were up to discussion. So
I thought I
Yeah,
said.
yeah, that's how we got to discussion.
And
And
we
then
are
with discussion.
So you want to
So
withdraw?
my thought is this, we as a board haven't voted to incorporate those comments into another draft of the master plan. So perhaps we want to keep this open in case we don't incorporate the comments in, and then we don't have to do the hearing again. And then when we come back the next time, we'll make the decision as to whether we want to amend the current version of the updated master plan. And if so, then we can end this hearing and notice the next one. Does that make sense?
There, I mean, I think you'd start with withdrawing the motion to close that's already on the table, so.
Can I just, I mean, we're still in discussion.
We are.
So just to note that, or question to Greg, that we need to, keep the hearing open and continue. If, I mean, the changes that I saw made were not, incredibly material, but, and I don't feel like super strongly one way or the other, but everybody wants to hold it open, but it's as a matter of process, or ask if they're not that material, and we can make a judgment and close it, pass it, as with those small additions.
Yeah, let me I'm assuming folks didn't see the email.
I did not see.
Yeah, so let me just, yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anything that's not technical or ministerial should not be passed without being noticed or kept open with the public having access to that particular version of it. Okay, I didn't, honestly, they came to that and look, but I don't know if they're actually, formatting or something, but if it deals with the substance of it at all, then you shouldn't be.
I think
Yeah.
they stuck out and extra link in here and there.
Okay.
That's fine.
But the other issue is that not all of us have had a chance
Yeah, no.
to review it, so.
We don't need a motion to keep it open. We're just keeping it open,
Well-
right?
We need to withdraw the motion to table the conversation.
To
Close the public hearing.
That's it. You're doing that.
No, I can't because I didn't make the motion.
You did?
No.
No?
I made a motion.
So you can withdraw your second, I guess.
Done with discussion.
I was just gonna read what Valerie sent us, as far as the edits she made to the comp plan, there was an edit to objective 1.2, which references the federal transportation demand management toolkit.
Is that the email from today you're talking about?
That is correct.
What's the time of that email?
It was 10:19 a.m.
In all fairness, we all haven't had a chance to really go through it.
Yeah.
So we can't close the public hearing, we can't vote on it. We don't know if we're gonna agree to adopt these changes. We haven't really looked at them to determine whether they're ministerial or not. And so the best thing to do is to withdraw the motion, to close the public hearing, postpone the public hearing to another date. And then we can make a decision on these proposed amendments. Also, I'd just like to point out that the comments that Nelson Voorhees presented, I was going through them this week, but I was unaware that their comments were being sent back to the county without the rest of us saying that they were fine to go back the way they were without having an opportunity to add, change, or agree that they were fine the way they were. And they went off. Now, Tony's assured me that if I have any additional comments that I would like to go back to the county, that we could still send those. And I don't know if anybody else would. I don't know. I'm not saying that I will, but I would like to have the opportunity to have a say on whether those comments alone should have been sent.
Their meeting is August 6th, so anything you want us to, update them on, we can submit. Okay. So we have to retract the motion.
Sure.
So we will hold the public hearing, motion to hold the public hearing open.
Wait. First, are you going to withdraw your motion?
Yes, I'm gonna rescind my motion to close the public hearing.
And okay.
Do I have a
You can do-
second?
Yes, second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
So do you want to make a motion to hold it over to the August 12th meeting or any adjourned date thereafter? So that you can look at the changes and then put them on site to the extent they're incorporated.
As motion is articulated by council.
If a question on that, if one of us is not here on the 12th,
So I said any adjourned date.
okay?
Okay.
It's on rep.
I just know that's your next meeting.
Okay, so I'll second that discussion.
So August 12th.
Or on or after, yeah, August 12 or after.
Right, it's not mandatory that we close it on that date. We can postpone it to be back as well.
Right.
I mean, it sounds like we already know August 12th is, good for you, so.
That's
do we want to find the next day?
Yeah, no, but at least on the next day, we will have an opportunity, Mary by email or otherwise, myself, the rest of us, to provide comments and yay or nay to the comments that Nelson Voorhees prepared, go alone or not, whether we're gonna change it or not. So we should be able to have all of our comments
I can make a
That-
deadline.
By August 5th.
Yeah,
by August 12th.
Well,
Our next
to
meeting
provide, if you want to provide those comments to the county, they're meeting on the 6th.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop us from providing them whenever we want to. We can provide them by August 6th, and
Okay.
we can provide them at any time prior to us adopting any version of the comprehensive master plan.
I can get them in on Monday.
Well,
Okay.
how long before that meeting would the county like those in advance so they could review them?
They don't have,
They don't have, and usually they don't. I mean, I'll read to you
they
what,
typically meet once a month.
Right, but I'm just saying, how long before that should we, oh,
They're never a stickler for when they want comments
Okay.
back. They ask for comments, the comments come back.
They
They
said-
gave us comments and we request.
they said to me that, regarding our feedback, that it may or may not be discussed during their meeting on August 6th, and that in general, there will be no further follow-up with the locality.
Okay.
Okay. So discussion, all in favor? Did we have a second?
Wait,
Yes.
what do we,
Thought that was discussion.
To,
Hold the public hearing open
okay,
to
Rich motion,
yes.
August 12th or any adjourned date thereafter.
and you second it, right?
I second it.
Okay.
So we finished discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. So having done that, we can, in terms of the seeker resolution and the resolution adopting the new comprehensive plan, that comes off the list.
Yeah, you table them when you get to them. Obviously, they're not going to be acted on
All
tonight.
right, so let's now I'd like to motion that we close the public hearing.
No.
No.
We don't need to do that.
We're opening the
Sorry.
next one.
Okay, so let's, so now I'll motion to open up the public hearing on the proposed amendments to the town code, chapter 203, tree preservation.
Second,
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody here have any comments on the tree ordinance? Oh, okay, how about on Zoom?
I have one. Real quick, Simone Vista, I know I have 3 minutes. I just want to say with the tree ordinance, I just don't see how you're going to enforce it. If you come into my neighborhood without being a rat, I know people are cutting down trees as we speak. They're doing it all over the place. I hear it, I see it. You got no enforcement, so it's just written on paper. You could save the tree by not writing it on paper. That's it.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? On Zoom? No,
No, Tony. Oh, yes. Dean Travelino, I'm asking you to unmute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Dean.
Great. Just on the tree ordinance itself, I know that you're considering 3 changes and I understand that you're tabling some other ones to the future. I don't want to sound too skeptical, but I hope that you're serious about moving forward on them. You know, the big issue with these changes is supposed to be that we want to improve enforceability. But remember, as Simone said, there is issues with enforceability. Starts with the fact that a few towns in New York State actually regulate trees that don't affect the right of way. So it's an obligation on behalf of the town, an intrusion into private property, and it should be done carefully. This was rewritten already, the tree ordinance, a couple of years ago to stop clear cutting. But if you read it now, it doesn't really seem to affect clear cutting. It seems to affect all cutting. We all can agree that clear cutting is a very bad thing, but this might be a little overkill. Starting with the fact that this limits the cutting of live trees to only 3 a year, no matter how large a property is, whether it's 1 acre or 20 or 30 or 40 acres. No other town around us, even that chooses to regulate trees, has that kind of a standard. It all goes by the number of acres and the percentage of trees existing on the property. So that's one thing. Also, within that, people should realize that even within the 3 a year, it talks about any tree over 18 inches needs a separate permit. They call it a specimen tree. Like fruit trees also are included. For example, in North Salem, it's well, in Pound Ridge, the tree is 18 inches or larger. And in North Salem is we have 18 inches or larger. In Pound Ridge, it's 24 inches or larger, and North Salem is 36 inches or larger. So anything that's a significant tree is going to need a special permit, and much smaller trees that are regulated even by Pound Ridge or by North Salem, which I think we could all agree are fairly good, examples of people that are environmentally conscientious. Also, when you look at the people mentioned comments today about the master plan and small sustainable farming and agriculture. I mentioned to the board, and I hope you keep in mind that North Salem has a definition of agriculture in their tree ordinance, which is much friendlier to small scale sustainable backyard operations, including equestrian. The example or the definition we use now hardly makes any sense and doesn't seem to apply to anything. Even talks in terms of dude ranches. Another thing, and probably the most important thing to me, is how the building department is given overreaching power now to decide whether you're building a backyard barn or a deck or anything else. It's always been in the original ordinance and in the second iteration that you're allowed to cut down trees in connection with your construction. And now we change it to this, what the building department in its sole discretion thinks are essential. So leaving it to the
Thank
sole.
you, Dean.
Dean.
Yeah, our buzzer went off, so I'm sorry.
All right, well, there's
Okay.
plenty more things, and I hope you consider them seriously in the future. And
All
if
right.
I just impose one more thing is,
Thanks, Dean. We've
Thank
got
you.
it. I'm sorry. Yeah,
all right, thank you.
thanks, Tina. Bye. Sally Frank, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, thank you very much. I am on the on the Conservation Advisory Council, and I just wanted to clarify a couple of things that Dean said, because unfortunately, there are a couple of things that he mentioned that aren't actually true. So, and I'm not looking at the ordinance in front of me, but I can tell you that if you have a diseased tree, or obviously one that's dead and is a threat to your house, you can take that down, okay? You can also take down any tree that is within 100 feet of a dwelling, if it is of a size or a condition, even if it's healthy, if you determine that you believe it's a threat to your dwelling. So there's a lot of latitude in the ordinance the way it is. We do recognize there is a problem with people ignoring the ordinance and cutting down lots of trees and any which way they want. And we're trying to make people aware that, this is for the benefit of all of the members of the community to keep and maintain that rural character. And as well as there are so many other, I won't go through the list of all the benefits that trees provide, but I just want to clarify that there is a lot more latitude in the ordinance than Dean said. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sally. That's it.
That's it? Okay. Yeah, I just want to reiterate, and Dean's correct, there was only three changes that were considered, and just so everyone is aware, number one is to make the ordinance consistent with Westchester County on licensing. Number two is to tighten up the language to prevent clear cutting. There was a minor change to that. And then there's a correction of an error for special character. Any other changes outside of that scope that we have been discussing over the past course of the year, the plan is to put together a work group spearheaded by the CAC, which will then allow us to do a deep dive on the existing ordinance and see what other improvements we can make. So I just want to make everyone aware of that. Okay, so motion to, or anyone else have anything to say before we?
I'm just gonna reiterate what I said the last time, which is if we're going to continue to do this deep dive and look into alternative amendments or changes to the tree ordinance, I think it's a more efficient use of time, energy, money, and Janet, if we do it all at once, because when we do it twice, we have to send it up to the state twice, we have to pay to publicize it twice, and we have to do the public hearing twice, and it just seems, if you're gonna do it right the first time. Get it all done all together, have the discussion in the focus groups or whatever we're gonna have, and do it all at once. What I said the last time.
I think there is another hand up.
Sure.
Okay. Jim O'Connor, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I just want to piggyback quickly on what Dean had mentioned. I'm sorry, but I don't remember the other. I think the other person was Frank. I didn't catch the name, but I just want to make sure that Dean never mentioned anything. Oh well, about the trees. I think the only issue that was brought up with the other person who spoke about was a disease or a threat. I'm a big proponent of not cutting down trees, love them. But if somebody is, like Dean had mentioned, wants to build a deck or add on to their house, let's say they're having an additional baby and they want to add another room or another partition of the house, I think that building department should take that into account also. So I just wanted to make sure that it just doesn't focus on a disease or a threat. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jim. That's it.
Okay. And, oh, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I want to address that last point.
John, you have to introduce yourself to the
John
ones
Wolf,
that.
Chair of the CAC, I live in Lewisboro, Hamlet. To that last point, if you go before the planning board, that's allowed. There's nothing that stops that, and the changes we make allow that, so that's not an issue.
That's correct. Thank you, John.
And wasn't it also true that you at the CAC had attempted to put in the per acreage rather than the entire lot as far as the number of trees per year?
I think he thinks that those that you're asking.
John?
They were asking this question.
Oh, yeah, when we first.
Yeah, if you can come up, yeah, John.
I'm sorry, I should have asked it before you sat down.
When we first passed it, we brought that up to the town board and they passed on doing that. One of the things we're gonna look at is doing that. However, the towns that do that effectively have a forester. We're never gonna have a forester. So it's not a simple thing, but it's one of the things we're gonna look at. And the other thing we're gonna look at is changing the penalty from fines to replacement, so that helps trees. And, you know, as Tony said, we're gonna have a working group.
All right, so, oh. Oh, yeah.
Hi, Jen Sabriano Vista again. You mentioned something and I completely forgot I had saw that there was a recommendation for a work group being put together, spearheaded by the CAC, who has time and again shown and demonstrated a clear inkling to exclude certain people who probably know a lot about trees and what types of trees you know, should stay or should come down in some instances, and actually how to make the trees in our town thrive. And so I would strongly urge the town board to perhaps get involved and recommend that the CAC include some of the stakeholders in the town that might actually know a little bit more about trees and foresting. And I completely disagree. I think this town could have a forester and someone who's a tree warden who is, you know, wholeheartedly studying and looking into these things and how to preserve trees, and trees aren't the only way to carbon sequester, and, you know, we can develop more fields in no-mow areas. So, but that's another conversation. But this is the kind of conversations I'd love to see come out of the CAC and our sustainability committee. And I encourage everyone here to start looking at these open vacant seats and get involved in these committees, because you know, the same people are sitting on these committees and they're steering the agenda. So if you don't like what you see, I'd say join and get involved. Thank you.
We discuss having local landscapers and stakeholders, because we're going to compile the committee as a town board. It's not going to be compiled, maybe spearheaded by CAC, but we as a board determine what other individuals.
There's another.
Okay.
Can Sally Frank speak again?
Up to the board.
No,
What is the
one
board?
comment per public hearing.
Okay. She's on CAC, so that's why I asked.
Yeah, she's on CAC.
What does that mean?
She's on.
She's
committee,
on-
town
No, I
committee.
know what it means. I said that doesn't change the rules. Everyone gets treated the same. John's here. If you have questions for him as chairman, you can ask him questions as chairman, but every resident gets the same amount of time per public hearing. There's no do-overs or somebody conceding their time. That's everyone gets treated the same. So my vote is no.
Okay.
Yeah, as a CAC member, she may have a pertinent point to share, so I think I'd like to pull the board. Rich?
So we heard from her and her input was valuable, and actually I checked the section she was looking at and we heard from John.
So your answer is no?
Yeah.
Mary?
I'm gonna vote no.
Yeah, I'll vote yes.
No.
Yeah.
I would say affirmative, would vote yes.
Shocker. The motion
Okay.
fails.
So anyone else? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we're done.
That's it? Okay,
Do we need a motion to close the public hearing now?
we do.
Okay, so I'll make that motion.
Second,
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Now, we don't have for the tree ordinance, we didn't receive the EAF until today. So it's not in the agenda packet. So we're gonna table that for another meeting to approve the seeker and approve the ordinance. Is that correct?
Send it on Friday.
You said on Friday, sorry, yeah.
So
Today was with the word.
Then why don't we vote to close the public hearing? Why don't we just keep it open until the next date so that people have an opportunity to go with the EBAF and we can do it all together at the next day.
All right, sounds like, yeah,
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
like I'll withdraw, so my
Well, let me
motion.
ask, is an EAF administrative?
There's a draft negative declaration that's based upon a proposed environmental assessment short form.
Right,
That it's gonna be part of the backup when the time comes and the public can look at it. You
right,
can just vote to hold it open until,
okay,
I don't wanna say a date, or whatever date
right.
that you wanna have it, and then you can take more comment then before you decide to make a secret determination and act.
Okay. So do you want a motion to?
So I guess I'll,
send?
yeah, I guess I'll the deja vu all over again. So I'll withdraw the motion and then we'll,
second,
Discussion? All in favor? Aye, okay.
so reiterating the motion from the first hearing in the same way that it was articulated by council. Motion to keep
Hold the public hearing open to August 12th or any adjourned date thereafter.
as articulated by council. That's my motion.
second,
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public comment. Anyone here would like to say something? Barbara, go ahead.
So I'm just want to formally ask the town board to set Barbara Mangione, Golden's Bridge. I want to ask the town board to set a one-year moratorium on the acceptance, consideration, and receipt of any site plans for construction of battery energy storage systems, otherwise known as BESS. I'm sure many people know, thanks to a grassroots campaign by residents of Mayapack, Carmel, and Somers, there's now a 6-month moratorium on the battery farm that was before the town of Mayapack. In addition, the Mount Kisco zoning board recently decided against permitting battery storage systems because they said their town could not handle them. Following that, the Kent Town Board and the Bedford Town Board both posted 6-month moratoriums on the same thing until they have more information. Politicians, fire departments, and also the Northern Westchester Joint Waterworks have expressed serious concerns about these farms and their potential effects on public health, water contamination, and stress on volunteer fire departments. One of the only ways they have of fighting a possible fire in these larger farms is using copious amounts of water to put these fires out. So what basically happens is you then have contaminated water, which needs storage systems to be stored until everything could be decontaminated. Air contamination, water contamination, long-term fires all present hazards to the residents surrounding the farms and to the environment. In addition, at a base level, firefighters need much more training and equipment, which costs time and money. And we all know that our first responders are right now desperate for new volunteers. So when you introduce this kind of technology that doesn't really have any policy or procedure to deal with it, you're really creating a firestorm of issues. Even the Westchester Department of Emergency Management in a previous meeting when they came to visit our Emergency Management Committee said that even Westchester County does not yet know how they're going to handle these kind of farms, what kind of policies and procedures they're putting together. It's going to take a while. So I think we should be a little proactive here and maybe institute a 1-year moratorium until more information is known and more policies and procedures are in effect. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
Council, just picking up on Barbara's comment, is there, and think about it if we need to, is there anything in our existing code that would be a permissible use in Lewisboro?
I would probably end up deferring to building and the zoning board to see if it's permitted within one of the permitted uses of our schedule of district regulations. Okay.
In some of the towns, they adopted it along with some of the new solar laws that many of the towns put together or adopted. And I know that Harrison is putting together a moratorium on the batteries as well, which requires a moratorium. I think it requires you follow the town follow procedure as if it were a local law with appropriate notification, I think. Just so it's not like just you can vote. There's like a process.
Done by a local law.
So where would
Sure.
we be able to get a, or how to get a dispositive answer as far as just
Whether
our code?
I'll look at the code and I'll consult with the building department.
Okay.
It's certainly not specifically enumerated to the best of my knowledge, but it could be something that's considered under, one other use.
Okay.
And Carmel did battery and solar.
Yeah.
There's a double moratorium.
Because there are battery storage installations now in Lewisboro for residential. So in terms of that capability, that's permissible.
Well, we're talking about a battery storage farm type of thing, aren't we? Talking
Yeah,
about that?
for farms, there's nothing in the car.
Big difference between a battery for your.
Yeah, I was just making a point that in the code, it all supports residential.
Well, then my inclination would be if it's a gray area in the code that we tighten it up so that we can't have it aside
It's
from
in
the
our
resident.
gas on. Right.
That's true. That's true.
So people should be getting to that.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Anyone else here?
Jennifer Mayetta, steering Cross River. I'm coming tonight to speak not out of position of emotion, but one of fact. I come to you with 34 years in the electric utility business as an electrical power engineer. I also have 20 years in state government. I have deep concerns that our town supervisor has abandoned all sense of rule of order, rule of process, and rule of law. 2 weeks ago, this town council made a motion to table the Sustainable Westchester presentation for 60 days. That motion was debated for nearly 10 minutes to ensure clarity in the motion. We all heard it. The motion was seconded and passed by vote. Here we are today with the presentation on tonight's agenda as old business so that no one from the town can comment on it. In a previous meeting, a motion was made to not renew the Sustainable Westchester contract that expires later this year. The motion was seconded and passed by vote. Are you commenting on my comments?
No, go ahead. Keep going.
Thank you. For some reason, it appears that Tony, our town supervisor, does not like the outcome of these motions and therefore is ignoring them. That is not the rule of law. The 5 people sitting before me are elected board members that represent our community. Tony, as the town supervisor, is only one of 5 board members who collectively function as the legislative body that makes decisions for our town. Tony does not have the right nor the power to ignore a motion that has been passed by the board. It is improper behavior of the town supervisor to speak over board members as they express their views, intimidate them, and try to coax them into voting with him. I've witnessed this on other board meetings. Because you insist on proceeding with the Sustainable Westchester presentation, I took the time to review it. It says nothing. It doesn't say what type of power they provide, the cost benefit of this power, nor where the power is coming from. Where is the sustainable power that they're promoting? I can't find it anywhere on their website or in this presentation or any information about it. How much power? How many megawatts? The only thing I saw in their presentation was a scare tactic about global warming and some scary photos and a lot of words that added up to nothing. Westchester Power is a community choice aggregation program that offers bulk fixed rate renewable electricity to its member municipalities. That's what their website says. As a utility professional of 34 years, I have no idea what that means. What people need to know is that NYSEG is our power supplier. They deliver power to our homes. They always have, and they always will. Our current rate of supply.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
Really?
Yeah, 3 minutes, sorry. Anybody else? Shannon?
Hi, everyone. I'm Janet Harcum. I live in South Salem. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in favor of Westchester Power and Community Choice
Can we
Aggregation,
keep it down, please?
and to
Thank you.
thank Westchester Power and Sustainable
Can we keep it
Westchester.
down, please?
Can I recall my time?
Yes, let's
I
start.
paused it. Anyway, joking around, but not joking around. Anyway, so I want to thank Sustainable Westchester for bringing such an important program to all of Westchester County and to Lewisboro. They are a not-for-profit. They are ahead of the curve, and they are doing for all of us what we need to do collectively. I've been involved in the sustainability and energy field, or not energy, but in the environmental field as an activist for a very, very long time. When people ask me, what can I do? What can I personally do? I often say, make sure you elect people, elect officials who are interested in making bold, swift, decisive action around energy. And then I say, and then make sure that you help businesses, corporations, and small and large governments make bold and decisive policy change around energy and the environment. And that is what Westchester Power and Sustainable Westchester is attempting to help us do. Then I tell people inaction is actually going to cost us way more and continues to cost us way more than actions and programs like Sustainable Westchester brings. And then I say, insulate your home, make sure that you, if you can, solarize, if you can, electrify everything, but then make sure that your energy supply is coming from a renewable resource. Reduce your travel, stop so much consuming, stop eating meat, compost your food scraps, plant trees, make less lawn, more native plants. All these kinds of solutions that are around the edges, but what really makes impact, because we're in an imperative, a time that is an imperative. Climate change is here, we don't have to go over it. But the most efficient and effective way is collective change, policy that it requires collective, decisive change. And I believe that Lewisboro needs to get in line to be part of the solution rather than continuing to be part of the problem. Thank you.
I'm Robert Whitaker from Golan's Bridge. The scientific community has called the current global warming and resulting climate change a threat to the very existence of human life on Earth. Scientists from fossil fuel companies have admitted that the ultimate impact would be only slightly less than, and I quote, a nuclear holocaust. Whatever impact we experience now, it is nothing compared to the harm it will cause to future generations, our children and grandchildren and their children and grandchildren, and they are justifiably angry and scared. Over the last 50 years, the sun has actually gotten cooler, causing the Earth's outer atmosphere, the stratosphere, to become cooler as well. The current global warming is almost exclusively caused by greenhouse gases that humans have emitted into the air that traps the heat we do get and keeps it right here in the lower atmosphere. Most of those emissions come from burning fossil fuels for energy, and if we don't stop now, we will guarantee a catastrophic future for those who come after us, the children we supposedly love and care for. A third of homeowners in Lewisboro, around 1,500 households, are trying to make a difference in their children's future by using the town's agreement with Sustainable Westchester to use clean energy for their electricity. It enables them to do something to help their children and future generations before it's too late. And too late is coming really soon. And here's the thing. By acting to reduce their own emissions, those 1,500 homeowners aren't just benefiting their own children's future. They are just as equally helping to save the future of every child, of every parent in Lewisboro, children of homeowners who don't participate. And we owe them our deepest gratitude for their contribution to all of us. This board hears comments from adults whose lives won't be severely impacted, but I've talked to a lot of young people in town about this, and without exception, they are all deeply afraid of their future with climate change, and they are begging us to do whatever we can to fight for them, for their lives and the lives of their children. As town board, you have an obligation and commitment to protect the future of our younger residents, and they are counting on you with everything in their being to lead and take actions to protect their future as much as you possibly can. If you vote against continuation of the Sustainable Westchester Energy Plan, they will get that their future, their lives don't matter. Please don't do that. Rather, show them that you know what's happening and that they can count on you to stand by them and not abandon them. They need you more than ever. Thank you.
Anybody else? Hold on 1 second. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Karen Conti, South Salem. When I heard that the board had voted to withdraw its participation from Sustainable Westchester and the option for all of us to have renewable energy if we would like to, I just couldn't believe it. Why would anybody do that in my mind? And so roughly a third of the people in our town, the third of households, 1,400 or 1,500 people participate. So 2/3 of the people opt out. And as Robert said, we can do a little, and none of us can make a decision to, all of a sudden not have cars or not do all the things, but we can make a small difference, and we can make a difference for our lives and the future of our town. People are talking about keeping this town, having a rural atmosphere, and, we're worrying about trees and water. Well, when it's 109 degrees out, nobody's going outside, the trees are going to die, the water's going to evaporate. We can do something now, and it's irresponsible to not offer our residents the option to do what's right. And if you don't want to belong to Sustainable Westchester and you choose to opt out of the program, but many of us would like the opportunity first to actually remain in the program, as well as to let people in our town and people in our county, and that we're joined with 20 other municipalities, to say that we do care about this in the future. And I would find it unimaginable that something as important as climate change could just be dismissed because I don't know why. So thank you.
Daniela Goldman, Vista. I'm actually going to continue off where Jennifer left off because I thought her speech was very informative. Her last thing was, what people need to know is that NYSEG supplies our power. They always have and always will. They provide both a supply rate and a delivery rate. Our current supply rate is 6.7 per kilowatt from NYSEG. This is not a variable rate. Delivery charges are billed separately. Westchester Power is at 50% supply rate, 12.16 cents per kilowatt. That is nearly double the supply rate. Our current generation supply mix is nuclear, hydro, gas, and renewables. Hydro makes up 23% of New York State's generation. What Sustainable Westchester does is buy and sell sustainable energy certificates. That's it. Why is our town supervisor pushing for this program that doubles the electric rate for our residents? I said it 2 weeks ago, and I will say it again. I have to question the intent of our town supervisor. Are you doing what is best for our residents or what is best for you? I also will say that 1,400 of our residents are signed up for this program, but was that from choice or is because they were auto opted in? You want to have nuclear energy, you want to have green energy, that's great. Have it as a choice. You opt in. It's not that you are auto opt in. You can opt into that program. I have opted out, but you should not be forced into a program. This is a choice. This is America. We get a choice in what we want for ourselves. That's it.
Else?
No,
Okay.
Karen, you can't come back up.
It's Kathy.
Karen, Kathy.
There could be another Kathy. Kathy Deutsch, Vista. I'm here tonight in opposition to the renewal of the Sustainable Westchester contract. An automatic opt-in program for any utility is not for local government to impose on residents. Many who have learned of this over the last year or more have opted out and have realized considerably lower bills. Many are still not aware that they are opted in, as few are properly advised on details of the program. The onus should not be on the consumer to dig through the weeds to find this out. I was told that at one time SW sent a mailing to residents with their letterhead. I did not receive it, which likely many simply thought was junk mail and put in the trash. Is that the intention, so that residents remain in the dark? No electricity, pun intended. Why not put an explanatory note in all the water or tax bills? If one wants to pay the higher rates for the illusion of helping the environment, then so be it. But many, especially the elderly or those on fixed incomes, simply should not pay more. It has been argued that of the 4,000 households in our community, 1,400 approve of the program. It is my guess that a majority of the remaining 1,400 subscribers simply do not know that they are opted in. Of those 1,400, is there written verification of their interest in participating, or is it just assumed because they did not opt out? This should be verifiable. Why is the majority of the community not the deciding factor? Is that how our town wants to treat all the residents? This presentation is not inclusive, nor was it communicated in a way that all residents could see it advertised separately from social media, which many do not frequent, with an open question and answer forum, such as the one for the Oak Ridge Water District. In addition, many residents rent. Owners largely are simply happy to get their rent and do not advise tenants of this anomaly upon signing leases. Renters may come from other areas and are not acquainted with programs such as this, so they do not notice the SW on their bills. Why is it not spelled out in full?
There are all questions that have to be asked and answered so that residents are properly informed and can make the decision for themselves, as anyone at any time can opt in. Lastly, our community is solely unique in that we have a sitting board member who is the program director of Sustainable Westchester, who benefits financially from our town contracting. That in itself is a clear conflict of interest and should be enough to guide our board to not renew.
Anyone else want to speak?
Tanya, let's let the other person go first, that's fine.
There wasn't a hand up, so,
Okay. Try to be clear.
wait, no, go ahead.
Beth Uretsky, Golden's Bridge. Thank you, Tony. I did remember. A couple of things. First of all, as a unofficial representative of Boulder Lane, I'm just letting the board know that they did start the paving project today. They were hoping for it to be done tomorrow. Unfortunately, due to weather, we don't think that's going to be. We were originally going to have the roads closed through Thursday. Unfortunately, now it's through Saturday. Chief Alfano has been informed. I know he is on vacation, but unbeknownst to me, he was on vacation and he was kind enough to respond and just asked me that once everything is completed to please let Sergeant Llewellyn know, which of course they will do. So I just want the board to be updated with that as promised. Separate from all of that, let's come back to the real issues of why most of us are here tonight. Once again, the board is getting information at the last minute. Once again, the board is expected to discuss it tonight. Once again, we're back to where we started from. I don't understand why we can't get out of our own way. If the agenda goes out last week, there should be a deadline that says if you have not received the information by that point, table it for the next meeting, not for that coming Monday. It's not that difficult. You guys need to put this together and get it together. We should not be having these kind of conversations about, I didn't read it, I didn't get it, blah, blah, blah. But when was it sent out today? What time was it sent out? 10 something in the morning. Everybody else on the board has lives. Everybody has a job and family and so on. There should be a cutoff. If the information does not come in by a certain date, that's it. It gets tabled for the next meeting. It's not a difficult concept. Separate from all of that, Sustainable Westchester, we're all discussing it tonight. The board discussed about being an opt-in option. I thought that was a great idea. Personally, I don't want it, but for those 1,500 who are opted in, God knows how many of those are just opted in because they don't know better. Awesome. Let them opt in. Even if it's a conscious decision, let them opt in. Somebody else, I think was Danielle, mentioned choice. Absolutely. We should have the choice. On their website, it mentions about opting in. Yet, for the sake of honesty and disclosure, I did not go thoroughly through the website, but in trying to dig to find out how does one opt in, I could not find a way to opt in at all. I could only find a way to opt out. So the question is, could they opt in for real? Or is that just a farce? Why can't we just go back to the concept of, if everybody could agree, and I know the board has discussed it before, opting in, let it be an automatic opt out, and those who want it, let them have it. They can have it. Let's make this issue go away, but it should not be forced down everybody's throat to have to opt out. It's just not fair. We have so many issues in this town to discuss. We have so many issues in this town we need to work on, and we still talk about this. This is almost as exhausting as talking about data in every meeting. Thank you.
Anybody else? Hold on.
Hi, Mike Gordon, South Salem. I just want to correct some basic misunderstandings about the program. When we're talking opt out, the state has an opt out program. And that opt out program designated by the state is that for your electricity supply, you will be defaulted to NYSEG. In any event, NYSEG gets poles and wires revenue. So all that community choice aggregation does is it changes who makes that decision. And that decision is the towns rather than the states. That's all it does. And the town has been doing that for the last 7 years. And the other thing about a community choice aggregation program is that the rates are far more stable than utility rates. So when rates are very low, they may be higher. When rates are very high, they are invariably lower. And another fact to keep in mind is that residents in opt-in programs, the offers that they get, if you set the time at the same time, are roughly 15% higher than what they get from opt-out programs. So if you want to create a cost-effective, affordable renewable energy support program, of course, you're going to opt to participate in an aggregation that is an quote unquote opt-out, or more like a local determination aggregation program. That's it. Thank you.
Simone O'Connor, Vista. The problem is it's not cost effective. That's the huge problem. 6 out of the last 7 years, I believe, it's been a higher rate. I am more interested in the fact that we sat here or at home, and I thought the vote was, we're not continuing this contract when it expires in November. 3 people on the board voted for that. I don't understand. I get education. I taught. I get education. We don't need to be educated. Thanks to Councilman Welsh, we have had prior presentations where he participated in the presentations with whoever he brought from his office. I think there's an ethical consideration. There's a conflict of interest that I don't understand. I've been talking about this, and as has others, for a long time. I think it's a huge problem. I think when you invite someone to talk, that indicates that we're going to make a decision. I felt a decision was made and it was not rescinded. I don't understand why we're back to square one. If 1,500 people are in this program, I promise you, they don't all know they're in it. I didn't know I was in it. I opted out. Fabulous. I think that in a period of time where we're all talking about democracy, oh, we're going to lose democracy. Oh my God, democracy. This is like a dictatorship. If the majority of the town is saying, we don't want this program, then don't give us this program. Let people find their own way. It's not cost effective. Number one, you got to do right by the people in the town. And I'm asking to stick with your vote, that it's 3 against 1. Councilman Welsh can't vote. So why do we have to listen to yet another presentation? I think that needs to be discussed. Thank you.
Anybody else here would like to speak?
Hello, Glenn DeFaber, Cross River. I'd like to vote the board to vote tonight for Sustainable Westchester opt-in. The amount of misrepresentation, outright lies from everybody that is promoting Westchester Power, Sustainable Westchester, is disgusting. Starting with the Corporation Counsel from New Rochelle, who said the state didn't provide an opt-in provision. Even Lewisboro Sustainability on their website tonight implied they did not provide that. It's all scare tactics. Until I called them out on that, they said, well, you're technically right, but if you could find a program that does that, please tell us. Well, there is a program that does that. It's just that they don't want to do their job to get clients like every other business has. This is not a small little business, Sustainable Westchester. They have the past director before Noam Branson was making $400,000 a year. Now, Noam Branson took a cut, 250,000. Dan makes 119,000. Don't listen to me. Go look up the 2021 990 forms they filed. This comes right off that. But worse than that, they list less than $1 million thereabouts for numerous people that they did not have to list. So let's go a little deeper into Sustainable Westchester. Bedford supervisor at the time, Chris Burdick, didn't recuse himself when they voted it in. Rye City Councilman Sarah Kay didn't recuse herself, and she didn't even put it on a disclosure statement. Town of Mamaroneck supervisor Seligson didn't recuse herself. North Salem supervisor Warren Lucas, who I think is in the audience, he didn't recuse himself. New Rochelle mayor Noam Branson didn't recuse himself, which started this whole thing. Luckily, there was a person by the name of Robert Cox who exposed the scam that was going on. Lewisboro, let's not forget Lewisboro, Dan Welsh, paid director, didn't recuse himself. And meeting 2 weeks ago, he didn't go out of the room. He stood behind Noam Branson, which is against municipal law. But who cares about that? Okay, who else is on the board? Deputy County Executive Ken Jenkins, soon to be, if not now, our county executive. Tom Roach, Mayor of White Plains, on the board. Mike Spano, Mayor of Yonkers, on the boards. What I'm really annoyed at is I wasn't smart enough to develop this scam. Thank you very much.
Anybody else here would like to comment? I'm not on Zoom, Jen.
Yes. Marissa Beatty, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, good evening. I am calling in tonight to express my deep concern regarding the ongoing issues of PFAS and PFOA contamination in the Oak Ridge water system. As you guys are fully aware, the construction project was finally supposed to start in May of 2024. You guys came in, you cut down a whole bunch of beautiful trees, you marked off all sorts of stuff, you closed off our walkways to our pool area temporarily. And however, it's now the end of July and we have yet to see any other progress or receive any communication from the board regarding the planned actions. Rumor has it, Tony, that the engineering company, as well as the town and whomever else is involved with this project, never actually did all the real site work. And that really needed to be completed prior to the start of the construction, and only now realize that there are a ton of utilities in the way of our new building. So everything has come to a complete standstill. I'm going to remind everyone on this board and in our community that the presence of these harmful chemicals in our water supply poses significant health risk to all the residents of Oak Ridge Water District, which include many children, elderly residents, and as well as many animals. I want to remind this board that in addition to the residents, there is a Chinese place, a pizza place, and a childcare center, all depending on and using this contaminated water. It is imperative that we take immediate action to mitigate this issue and ensure that the safety and well-being of our community. The lack of response and apparent standstill in work and addressing this crisis is deeply troubling. We sit here tonight and we're talking about the 1,500 residents impacted by crooked Sustainable Westchester, but we're not talking about the 900 families within the Oak Ridge Water District that have poison water. I urge you and the board to prioritize this matter and provide an update to all the residents in regards to the steps that are being taken to resolve the contamination, and as well as an updated timeline on the construction and the completion of our project now that you have already doubled our rates. Transparency and timely actions are crucial in maintaining public trust and safeguarding our health. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I look forward to a prompt response from the board and seeing tangible progress in addressing the PFAS and PFOA contamination in all of our water supply. That's it.
All right, thank you, Marissa.
She did.
I'm asking Dean Travellino to unmute. Dean, are you there?
Hello again, am I there?
Yes, you are.
First, I just don't understand why we have all this contention if we can just make this into an opt-in program and let Sustainable Westchester make that good case for why you might want to pay double for your energy. And even though there's no difference in the mix that comes into your home, and that a lot of it is paperwork with these renewable energy credits, but they have an interesting case and they should be able to make it to people. But I just wanted to, now that the tree ordinance issue is gone, I wanted to mention something moving forward with it, which is that I know that the CAC mentioned a few times ago that Greenberg and Bedford are two places that we can look to for being advanced. And they both have excellent websites that really explain to homeowners what they can and cannot do. I know that might cost money, but if you want to regulate and enforce, you can't really do it on the cheap, which also goes back to a comment about having a forestry officer, which is another good idea. And last but not least, since we are regulating private homes, look at Bedford, which took the recommendation of the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and has a tree board made up of a bunch of stakeholders, which are able to let people work through their issues between the building inspector and whoever else is put in charge. Now, I don't in any way mean to denigrate the hard work of the CAC, but they're one perspective of many, and I think the more you open it up, the more enforcement that you would get. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Neil Cutler, I'm asking you to unmute.
Good evening, Neil Cutler, South Salem resident. I'm here to support the Community Choice Green Power Program. This is a terrific chance to continue to reduce fossil fuel use locally, as you'll see in the presentation this evening. I understand that the opt-out is not perfect. It definitely is a small inconvenience that we're asking residents to do who do not wish to participate. I urge the town to not miss out on this opportunity to continue this program, and your grandchildren will thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Neil. Robert Fishman, I'm asking you to unmute.
Thank you, Janet. So my name is Robert Fishman. I'm a civil engineer and a sustainability management professional living right here in South Salem for 26 years. After listening to the nastiness expressed at the last meeting, including the public comments, I am going to speak rather bluntly here. So let's get the facts straight. Contrary to the innuendo that has been wallpapering social media and public comments at this board's past meetings, the Sustainable Westchester is not a profit-making company. It is a consortium of Westchester's municipal governments working together to provide shared sustainability programs and services to county residents and businesses that would otherwise cost individual communities much more to operate individually. Employees of Sustainable Westchester, including the executive director and the director of its Westchester Power Program, are working at the behest of all these municipalities, including Lewisboro. Nobody is in anyone's pocket. As you've heard, some 1,500 households in our Lewisboro community are now participating in the Westchester Power CCA, or Community Choice Aggregation of Electricity Supply. Among those that don't, I want to clarify that it is not so that 2/3 are opting out. Understand that those low-income households that receive assistance from HEAP, the Home Energy Assistance Program, or UAP, the Utility Assistance Program, the neediest and most cash-strapped among us don't participate. And those that have pre-existing agreements with other ESCOs were also not enrolled. Then there is the share of residents that have chosen to opt out, and of course that is their right to do so. But for years, a great many of our residents and businesses have actively supported and relied on this program for the environmental benefits it provides and for its price stability for clean, renewable electricity, neither of which you can get from NYSEG if the town board votes tonight to not participate. Contrary to the comment that was made earlier, the NYSEG electricity supply rate is not fixed. It varies monthly. The presentation materials that the board received illuminates this. There are times indelible in recent memory when NYSEG rates spiked to more than double the Westchester Power rate. Our residents choose to remain in the program because we care about their impact on our planet, on our community, on our children, and on our grandchildren. Those who don't wish to participate can easily opt out at any time without penalty, but it is simply wrong to give an ounce of credence to the outright lies and disinformation dribble that is being perpetuated by a few loud, I'll say this politely, loud voices, and to pull the rug out from under the 1,500 households in Lewisboro who do hold these values. Through a local nonprofit, I work with many members of our community and across northern Westchester as an energy coach, helping them to find ways to make their homes more energy efficient and to lower their environmental impact. Virtually everyone that I speak with participates in Westchester Power, and all are grateful to know that they are able to get clean, renewable energy, even if they're
Thank you,
unable.
Robert. Your time is up. I'm sorry.
Can't hear where you're clapping.
Oh, sorry, I just, I got cut off so abruptly, I just wanted to make sure that.
M. Hirsch, I'm asking you to unmute.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Michael Hirsch from Golden's Bridge. I'm not going to get into any of the specifics related to the benefits or negatives of Sustainable Westchester. I will say that this board is not a middle school model Congress. This decision was made already on many occasions. I'm not sure why it's being discussed right now. I'm also not sure if you guys ever watch these videos, but it's a little embarrassing. There are several members of this board who have I think comported themselves very, very professionally and followed Robert's rules of order for lack of a better word in an appropriate way, and a couple who just ignore them. And if you have not watched these videos, you should go back and do it, because it would be comical if it wasn't sad. I would also just say that if something doesn't work as an opt-in, then it shouldn't be an opt-out. That's the way that the world works, right? If your business model, if your case isn't strong enough to get people to do it voluntarily, then it shouldn't be forced upon people, no matter what I think about the benefits and the negatives of the particular program. And that's where I'll just leave it at that. But there are some very important issues, like Marissa was talking about earlier, I believe her name was, with water safety and things of that nature. And I feel like there are certain individuals who have just become such a distraction that we keep on talking about the same things over and over and over again and not focusing on the things that need to be focused on. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Chris Kokoro, I'm asking you to unmute.
Thank you very much. My name is Christopher Cocaro. I'm from the South Salem Hamlet. I sit as the chairperson for the Sustainability Committee, Advisory Committee to the Town Board. I'm speaking on behalf of renewing the contract in discussion tonight, particularly because this helps to support the committee's goals that have been outlined for the town as our charge. Those include supporting clean energy while also helping to reduce energy use and supporting sustainable initiatives in and around the town of Lewisboro. Westchester Power is a community initiative that helps to support clean energy. And as alluded earlier, it helps to provide a level of price stability and price resiliency in the event of either climate-related or geopolitical-related initiatives. We're in the middle of hurricane season at this point, as we've already seen what Hurricane Beryl has done down and around Texas. It's not unprecedented to have a major hurricane hitting an energy center in the United States around the Gulf Coast. This can be sending ripple effects in the energy sector that can be felt up here in our area, even though it doesn't directly affect us. And as noted earlier, the energy rates and the supply rates can vary month to month through the NYSEG system on their standard supply. By being part of this program, you can actually build a resiliency against price gouging or price spikes. These things can be beneficial for those that may be on a fixed income who can control their energy usage and understand what their rates are. For those that are not interested in those programs or programs such as this, there is the opt-out option. I think that one of the biggest things that we're really noticing from this conversation is that people have very much educated themselves on what the power program is, what it isn't, and the ability for people to opt in and opt out. So if we do continue to stay in this, and we do hope that that the town board does renew the contract, we can also implement a program that can help to educate those residents that do not wish to stay. They do so without penalty. They can do so at the rates that they choose. Regardless if people do want to stay in the program or people want to opt out of the program, one thing that we also would like to be including as part of this discussion is community solar. There are various programs that people can sign up for to help even further reduce their energy costs. By supporting community solar, you can receive a 5 to 10% bill savings on your NYSEG rate, whether you are in the Westchester Power Program or you are on the standard supply. We in the Sustainability Committee feel that this is a beneficial program for the town and for the town residents. We feel that there is a benefit for the price resiliency, and we hope that you would renew that. Thank you very much for your time. We really do appreciate it. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Jim O'Connor, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, Jim O'Connor from Vista, aka Jimbo from Vista, aka the agitator from Vista. I just want to give a shout out to Robert Cox and his great investigative tools and what he has disclosed and uncovered. Again, I just want to say scare tactics. It's create a crisis and benefit from it. This is what Dan has been doing for the last 17 years on the town, 16 or 17 years on the town board. I'm not surprised. It just seems like the people there tonight supporting Sustainable Westchester have a financial gain to continue this con game. It seems like a lot of these people have been involved with Dan for the last 16 years. And just as somebody who has no background in environmental issues, but is concerned about the environment, I can actually see through the curtain and see that the curtain has been pulled back, and we can see what Dan is all about. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, James. Bob Carpel, I'm asking you to unmute. Bob Carpel? Bob, I'll come back to you. Liz Whitmer Garrity, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, good evening. I was just hoping to see the presentation. I'm hearing a lot of information from a lot of different community members, and it would be helpful.
Liz, are you?
Name and hamlet, please.
Liz
You
Whitmer
mentioned name and
Garrity.
hamlet.
I'm in the Katona part of Lewisboro.
It's not Lewisboro.
I'm just asking to see the presentation. I've heard a lot from community members, and I'd like to see more information about opting in or opting out. And I think that's
Is she a town of Lewisboro resident?
Yes, I am.
Yes. Fire Department District. Is she a town of Lewisboro?
Yes, I am a town of
School district.
Lewisboro resident.
So school district is okay, yes, okay.
Okay. No, but I'm a town of Lewisboro resident.
Yes.
Okay, then
My
that's,
address is Katona, but it is Lewisboro, and I am just asking simply to see the presentation because I would like to get more information about the opting in, the opting out, and all of that. And I think that it's kind of a disservice to the community not to see the original information and just to hear the commentary. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Bob Capel, I'm asking you to unmute. Bob, I'll ask one more time for you to unmute. Okay, he's not responding, so.
Is that?
That's it.
That's it? Okay. All right, so. So next we have communications. Well, actually, part of, I don't know if Cindy's here. Cindy Rubino, she sent me, and she was gonna try to be here, but.
She's here.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Oh, Cindy, okay, you're here. Yeah.
I'm Cindy Rubino. I live in Vista. And I just wanted to express that I was hoping to hear the presentation. I thought in the spirit of open communication, I thought some of us might learn some information that we didn't know before. So I just wanted to encourage the town board to allow the presentation. Thank you.
Is that public comment?
Okay, so I don't have anything for communications and consent agenda. We don't have anything on the consent agenda, so we're gonna skip over that. So the next item is, of course, the Westchester Park Community Trust aggregation and the MOU. But before we jump to that, I just have a couple of notes I want to read here. So at the last board meeting, July 8th, the board's reasoning for not permitting the presentation, which is a first as long as I've been on the town board, not allowing the presentation to occur, was because they didn't have the presentation ahead of time. The Sustainable Westchester was granted time to speak. I made a motion to allow Noam to speak. Rich seconded the motion. Motion passed and he spoke. And after that, after Noam mentioned that waiting the 90 days would basically not work within the critical path of the program. So his recommendation was to have the presentation sooner than later. We discussed meeting dates, the possibility of meeting dates. A couple of dates were thrown around. We had a discussion on that at the board meeting. And there were certain dates that were not able because of certain board members not being available on those dates. So then we decided that July 22nd was the only date that made sense.
Not me.
Well, when I polled the board. What's that? Oh, yeah, you could go, yeah, that's fine, yeah. So the original reason is the board didn't have the presentation. They've now had the So the board now has had the presentation for 2 weeks. Yeah, can we just keep it down, please? Thank you. So the board has had 2 weeks and an opportunity to review the presentation, come back with questions. There was one question regarding the critical path timeline. I had which is now incorporated as part of the presentation. There are 2 additional slides talking about that. The presentation also includes a rate comparison that was requested by 2 residents, one of which is here tonight. So that's also part of it. This is a comparison between over the 7 years. There's been a lot of discussion about where the rates have been. So there is a part of the presentation does compare the NYSEG rates to the various supplier rates that we had over the course of the 7 years. So that's in the presentation. We talked about the enrolled population versus the ones who are not enrolled because they're either on another ESCO, they've opted out, they're part of the Home Energy Assistance Program or HEAP or the Utility Assistance Program, UAP. And as you know, and my responsibility as a supervisor and as is a responsibility of the board is to not hold back information, but rather provide the information to anyone who is interested in hearing or viewing the presentation. I've had folks asking me about that. I actually had somebody reach out to me today because this has been been spoken about for a while. And this person was enrolled, but she didn't remember being enrolled. So she called. I explained to her how the program worked, but I connected her with Sustainable Westchester. And it turns out that she was in the standard of 50% renewable. and she was actually, after having a conversation, she decided she was going to remain with the program, and she actually upgraded to the 100% renewable. And she was in disbelief that the town would be considering pulling out. So there are people out there who are interested in the program. And again, the purpose of the meeting 2 weeks ago was to provide information. That's all it was. It wasn't a decision on whether or not we're going to move forward with the program. It's to provide the presentation. That's what was voted down. The motion to not renew was not passed. That was not passed. It was not passed. It was a 2-2 vote, did not pass. So I want to make that point clear.
I think you're referring to the motion that I had made at meetings prior.
No, the motion prior was to rescind the agreement. That was what Rich Sclaren had made back in May.
Not rescind.
There was a motion that was made, seconded and passed to have a moratorium of 90 days, if I remember correct.
Correct.
Of further discussion of sustainable Westchester. We did not get all the information, we're rushed at the last minute. We don't get told who's coming to present. And it's not just a question of whether it's sustainable or not, it's a question of how we're functioning as a board. And we did not get the information, we did not get the critical path, and the facts are what I've been asking for, not promotional material, not a pretty PowerPoint. I just wanted the facts. I can read a spreadsheet, and I've signed an oath to represent and hold into account the wishes of all of Lewisboro.
Now, having said that, there's a lot of questions that have come up, which having the presentation and the dialogue with the representatives of Sustainable Westchester would allow us to answer those questions. And that's what I'm requesting. Again, it's our responsibility as a board to allow the public to have the information from a vendor we've been working with for 7 years, and to maybe learn about what's coming up next in terms of the program.
Council,
there was, and I think having the comparison of NYSEG rates, December of 22 through to the early spring of 23, the rates were 24, the NYSEG rates were 24 cents a kilowatt hour. We were locked in at 10 cents. So I think it's important to understand that there are people who want stability in the rates. And this program gives them that option. And, 36% of the folks who have it, yes, there's some that potentially aren't aware that they have it. And I think we can do better in terms of communicating. Like the person that we spoke to today, she didn't realize that she was signed up. And when she found out what the program was, she liked it and she upgraded. So I think that's the piece that's missing, is the communication piece, and in terms of improving that.
Council, can you I just want to confirm your understanding about the motion, which was seconded and passed 3-1 that Mary was talking about back on July 8th. My recollection is that it was a motion to table the presentation and work session for 90 days.
That's my recollection of the motion. The minutes are not approved yet, but that's my recollection of the motion.
And my understanding of what the process would be is that that's where we stand unless someone was to make a motion to put that back on the agenda.
With respect to the presentation, yes.
Okay.
So being that Sustainable Westchester is here, I would actually like to motion to allow them to present at least the new information that was requested by the public.
Yes.
So I'd like to go ahead and motion to allow the presentation of that new information, which includes the critical path and the pricing information, and any discussion related to the MOU. Do I have a second? Second, okay.
I'm sure
So I guess the motion will,
they're willing to provide the information. You can post it on the town website.
it's already posted, yeah.
And there's no reason to move ahead with the presentation.
Sorry, it's just presenting information that all of us would like to hear.
No.
Respect the vote.
You're out.
Respect the vote.
Wow. It was
So-
voted on. There is a motion that's passed that all discussions will be tabled for 90 days. No one's voted to rescind that motion.
The thing is,
So the critical path. Go ahead, Mary.
no, that's all right. I'm used to being interrupted.
Yeah, so there is a critical path which was identified last week, which is why the board was considering having the presentation earlier. But now what I'm hearing is that the board does not want to have the presentation.
It was 60 days.
It was 90 days.
No.
And then
Aries
we-
was 60 days.
Just
But
respect
I-
colleagues in the
here,
vote.
Regardless,
Let the
yeah.
record state that I did propose 60 days. As an alternative, we did not vote on the 60 days.
No, it was 90
No,
days.
we never,
She did.
We never
So-
voted on.
we never voted on 60
He
days.
suggested 16 was never voted on.
Right.
Either
So,
way, it's not about tonight.
You know, the thing is, we have the presentation on the platform of the town, the website, correct, Janet?
Correct.
It's up there. And, you know, according to Tony, we've had this same presentation for the last 7 years.
no, I didn't say that. I said that Sustainable Westchester has presented to the board the last 7 years around this time. And that hasn't changed. So it's
The
not the same
residents have
presentation.
gotten the information for the past 7 years.
I hear there's new.
You said, I'm sorry, there's no comment from the audience unless it's public comment, which it's not. But you, no,
No, this-
you cannot comment from the audience, just the town board is speaking right now. So this is a discussion.
Yeah, so there is a critical path, and obviously the 90 days puts us outside of that window. September 7th is the drop dead date deadline. A drop dead deadline.
What was that last?
It's the
September
September
7th is
7th,
the drop
according
dead.
to the critical path that we received in the email, that September 7th is the last date that we can commit as a community to participating. And people who are already opted out will stay opted out if we commit to the program. And then people, if they want to opt in, they can opt in if they've already opted out. But if we do not commit to the program by September 7th, then we will no longer be able to participate into the community, the CCA. I can't all of a sudden remember what the letters stand for, but it's the consortium association of buying the rights for we can't answer questions right now. We're having a discussion. I'm sorry. But after the 7th, we lose the right to participate in the CCA, and then the town loses the right to get that. And the 1,500 people involved, please let me say what I'm saying without the comments in the back row. I'm really trying my best to maintain my professional approach and discuss the issues. And I know everybody is really passionate about it, and it's great to be passionate about it, but we have to be civil with one another as well. It's breaking my heart that people are yelling at each other and screaming. I mean, we're trying to do the best that we can. You have no idea what it's like to get all of these emails, phone calls, messages, text, inboxes in platforms that I almost never use, and people expect immediate answers. We're trying to do our homework and do the right thing for all of Lewisboro. Now, if we don't join in the program, then we lose the right, and then that's it. After the energy agreements are signed, we have to wait for another year. And then everybody's pushed back into it if we sign the agreement again, and then you have to opt out
In the
again.
future, if we don't.
In the future.
If we come out of the program, if a future board wants to go back in the program, it's gonna be, again, it's an opt-out for the public service.
We start from scratch.
We
All the
start from
residents are
scratch.
put back in the pool and everybody's gotta opt out all over again. That's what he's trying to say.
So,
But that being said, over the past 7 years, it's my understanding that we have approximately 4,000 households in the town of Lewisboro. Of those 4,000 households, 1,500 of those households are still in the program. No one knows, no one's sworn on a Bible, nobody has any facts as to why those 1,500 people remain in. Some of which do so voluntarily, some may still not know that they are in the program. We don't know.
Quick show of hands, how many people here in the program? 10? Okay.
How many are not in the program?
Yeah.
Well, actually, that does bring up a point from my own personal experience. And I'm not advocating for Verde Energy, but that happened to be what I had as by way of a contract which expired. And I just looked it up. So an individual can enroll in this type of entity or any other one in the marketplace.
Yes.
That's an opportunity which it says right here, I can do it myself. I just looked it up on my phone. So I could do it as an individual consumer. And actually it's posted, the price is posted for the 100% renewable.
scroll too fast.
Right. So again, what
Yeah,
I've
out
been
of
trying to,
curiosity, what's the rate?
Verde Energy.
No, it's the rate.
Well, the point is, I think it was 11 or 12 or whatever it was, but the point is though, that anyone can do that, go into the marketplace. And I can do that as an individual. So Verde Energy USA is one example. And again, I'm not recommending that. I just had personal experience with them. And actually what led me to this is that I had it, I think at about 8 cents when I went in. And at the end of the contract, it was 12 cents. I said, let me, like the old song, you better shop around. So I did. And then I saw what NYSEG was at the time. I've been watching it each month. And again, as a consumer of goods and services, that's my responsibility to see what works best for me. And I just want to say the goal of Sustainable Westchester and other organizations is completely laudable. Climate change is real, and we should do whatever we can to reduce carbon emissions and carbon footprint. We should, each of us as individuals, do what we can to assist that. And that means going into the marketplace. I would say everybody has an affirmative responsibility as consumers of electricity, go and see what you can do, even if it's paying a bit more. You should do that because climate change is real and it is up to all of us as people we're talking about. Everybody has, I think, a moral responsibility to address that. But the marketplace will allow them to do that.
We all do it. Those of us who still have their houses heated by oil, we do that every time we renew a contract. We shop around. Sometimes we join with groups of others to get a rate down, you know, whether it's one oil company or the other. Same kind of thing. We're all adults. We can figure it out on our own. We don't need hand holding down the path of sustainable energy. Those of us who really want it know how to get it.
No, I'm sorry,
Sorry,
we're
Rob.
having
Yeah.
a discussion right now, and I just want to say, I care about sustainability as well. I mow my lawn in front of my stone fence with a push mower, and I'm the only one in my house that does it. We do composting to the point where it drives my husband to distraction. I have a PHEV. I plug it in. Plug-in hybrid vehicle that I plug into my house, and since 2019, I'm okay with that. I think though that with Sustainable Westchester, I didn't get the information in a timely fashion, and what I got was, it felt like promotional material. And so I have to make the decision that I believe is right for the town of Lewisboro as a whole.
Yeah, my preference would be to, ask questions. There are open questions that I have about the program, and only Sustainable Westchester can answer them. But if
May I suggest a town meeting like when NYSEG came the other day?
Well, actually,
Well, that's what
just
we-
actually, as far as anybody can answer them, gnome@sustainablewestchester.org. Please educate yourself as a consumer and ask the executive director any questions you have so that you're completely educated about what works best for you. Please do that. I encourage you to do so. And their telephone number, 914-907-9545. Please call them up and ask any questions you have so you can fully educate yourself in the marketplace.
Do we want to at least see the rates that the residents, and those the residents
No.
who want to?
You lost the vote.
Okay. Okay. So,
So,
it's on the website. It's on the website. It's, look under the,
we're not supposed to have.
Know how to click on the agenda.
What?
I'm trying to make a point. But we weren't allowed to talk.
We're not,
We're not allowed, yeah.
it's not a, at this point in the discussion, we will make the information accessible. We cannot have the presentation right now.
so what are the next steps? So, let's
The discussion
get
of
from
the
the board.
board. Next.
No, in terms of this program.
Well, I can renew my motion again, not to renew the contract for the upcoming year. That's the motion I made the last time.
Well, and yeah, I mean, we don't even have to make a motion. It's gonna renew, it's gonna expire by its terms November 30th. And the contract will run in the lapse.
Correct, but if we vote on it now, then we won't have to prolong everyone's pain until November 3rd and to continue to come back to meetings to talk about things.
Well, September tenth,
Well, it can.
September 7th is the drop dead date.
So if we don't act before then we're not gonna renew. It's just automatic.
What's our September meeting date?
September 12th, I believe. No.
September 9th
9th,
and September 27th.
right.
So it would be
And
the August
and August
26th,
is August 12th and August 26th.
unless we added another meeting.
This should be shuttled up.
All right, so we'll so do we wanna? Is there a reason to schedule another meeting? That's what I'm hearing.
Where are we on the agenda? We see the agenda.
As convenient as it is, all these important decisions happen over the summer when some of us are trying to take vacation.
Right,
Now, I myself was away and I came back from Saratoga. I was supposed to be at a 2-day conference. I came back for this meeting. Now, I would like to be away in August. Mary would like to be away in August. No offense to everyone, but town board members are allowed to take vacation. And all these important votes seem to come to a head and everything is rushed in the summertime when inevitably one of us or two of us may not be here. So it is what it is. But
It's
you
not
all
the-
know what my decision, what my vote is. So my vote isn't changing. I've asked my questions. I've asked, that some legal authority be given to me as to why we can't be in versus an opt
that's
out.
part of the presentation, but
And it can be posted on our town website. And whatever it is, the rubric under how Sustainable Westchester was formed doesn't allow for it. Not my problem.
yeah.
Not my problem.
But look-
Everyone in the room is a grown up and can go to the market just like they do when they shop for an oil company. We're wasting too much time on this. I feel like the past 9 months, we had, it's like Groundhog's Day. We come to every meeting, we discuss the same thing again and again and again. And we barely have any time to talk about the other town business. And when we do, it's shoved on the last minute
Mhm.
with emails happening the same day. I'm getting really tired of this. So personally, what's going on there? Seriously, in all due respect to everyone, once a meeting has started and the public is already seated, I personally would greatly appreciate if the people sitting in the audience would use the exit at the back unless there's some sort of emergency or health issue that you need to go past us, because this is very distracting, not only to us, but to people that are watching on Zoom, etc. So that's just my own personal request.
Okay.
But in any event,
So I just saw one comment they made about the posting the information on the website and the opt-out program. This is a document that was distributed to the board 2 weeks ago. It's the order authorizing the framework for the CCA program.
Yes, I read it.
Okay.
So I was satisfied with the answer and it still doesn't change my vote.
Just clarifying. Okay. All right, so we will move on to the next item then. Okay. So the next item is it's the building department lapse permits and amnesty program, and the board.
Well, I thought we were on to the discussion about the employee handbook.
Oh, sorry, I meant to say the employee handbook, we're gonna table a discussion. There was an email sent to Carrie. We had a union meeting on Wednesday of last week. And they came back with comments on Friday. So we need to review those proposed changes. So we're taking it off the agenda for now.
Okay.
Okay. Let's wait till.
You want to let Mr. Branson go?
Okay. Okay.
I think he's.
Yes.
Everyone outside, if you're not remaining for the rest of the meeting, please.
No, I was gonna thank you for coming, but you're more than welcome to hang out.
Stick around just for a few minutes.
Okay, all right. And
So,
Warren is, I know Warren is here. If he wants to hang out, that's fine too.
Is the
Okay.
door closed yet?
It's closed, but you still hear them through the door.
Excuse me.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Carrie, if you don't mind, yeah, just tell
Thank
them
you,
to
Carrie.
take the conversation outside.
can you repeat, so the union meeting
we
comments
had a
on
meet-
Friday, proposed changes?
We had a
Is it
team.
gonna be on the next board meeting or a future board meeting?
Yeah, at a future board meeting. So we had a
Okay.
Teamsters meeting on Wednesday. And it wasn't until we were hoping to. We redlined the agreement on that day, but they came back with additional comments on Friday.
And for our friends at home who don't understand, redlining is suggested edits. So what's happening is the union as well as non-union employees are giving us input on their thoughts on the updated employee handbook. So we're moving it into the 21st century.
Okay, so,
And Tony, just so you know, the presentation, it's on the website, it's
Right.
under the agenda.
I saw that.
Jen
yeah.
will put it on the homepage tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Next we have the building department, the lapse permits and amnesty program. We discussed this 2 or 3 board meetings ago, and we had people question the fact that they weren't aware that their permit or they never got a CEO for work that was done years ago. And when they
Certificate
applied,
of occupancy.
certificate of occupancy, the CO. And so they came back and were surprised that they were required to pay another application fee as well as a penalty. So we ended up waiving the penalty for that one applicant. But then we discussed putting in an amnesty program, which will allow anybody to come in and basically get the same treatment. So the proposal is to move forward with that. The building department sent, it's part of the agenda packet. They sent there's a letter here. Just
Kevin is on if you.
Kevin is on, yeah, so you can unmute him if you'd like to say a few words. And basically, this gives folks the opportunity to come to the building department and confirm whether or not they have an application that's still open. We will actually reach out to the folks that are within our municity, which is a computer system. And we will notify those folks, and I think we've started doing that already, to let them know that they have open permits that have never been closed. And this is an amnesty program that would be in place through from September 1st through November 1st of 2024. And we always have the option of extending it. So we'd like to see, what kind of a acceptance we get to this, what kind of a take rate. And yeah, and so Kevin, if you want to say a few words.
Good evening, everybody.
Good
So,
evening. And Kevin, by the way, is our building inspector, Kevin Kelly.
So members of the board, we get numerous calls and people saying that they weren't aware that their permits have expired. And some of these go back multiple years, which makes it a little bit difficult to come back and tell them, yes, they have to renew their permit and there's a 25% surcharge for this elapsed fee, in addition to a $102 administrative fee. So we've discussed it internally that we thought the right thing to do is to anybody who's on the Municity program, we can reach out to them electronically, assuming we have their email, to notify them that we if the board approves this, have opened up a 60-day window for them to come in, renew their fee. We will waive the penalty and the administrative fee, and then schedule an appointment for whatever inspections are missing, and close their permit. We just think it's, yes, go ahead.
Does the inspection have to be done? If you get a lot of applications for this amnesty program, do the inspections have to be done before November 1st? Will you have enough time, or is the date for the inspection?
No, I think if they contact us, they start the process. I don't think we would have to close it by that time, but I think we have to have the documentation in.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And if it becomes hugely successful, then the board can elect or not elect to extend that, in the interest of the community.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And just to be clear, that span from September 1st through November 1st is the window of opportunity for the applicants or the residents to submit their application.
For amnesty.
For amnesty, correct.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Kevin, this
Yes.
program is based on people who already may know that they have expired permits. This isn't based on the fact that you were able to somehow find everybody that has an open permit that you were telling us about and we sent letters to, because that's like an enormous task that I wouldn't think you'd be able to accomplish by this one time.
So Andrew, what I was mentioning is we use a computer system called Municity that's been active for a number of years. That's as far as we can go electronically. We don't have the manpower to go back and open every file over the last, say, 30 years to see if somebody has an open permit. That usually occurs when they go to sell their house. Now, what I suggest is that this goes on our town webpage, that we have this amnesty period. We put it in the local newspaper if we could, and maybe every town board meeting, the board reminds everybody not to forget about the amnesty period to get in and renew their applications, so they're not subjected to that additional fee.
So they can log in and see it themselves. So it'll give people an adequate amount of time to check themselves to see if they have anything open.
Right. Now every week we devote an hour or two sending out a batch of emails but it has to be individually. It's time consuming to reach out to people to say, by the way, and we do get calls because of it. And some of them have no idea. Some will blame their contractor. Some will blame COVID. It doesn't really matter. This will potentially resolve any issue we have and not waste the town board on a monthly basis. If one person has to come up and say, well, I had this, what had that, your time is valuable. I thought this would be a good way to open it up to everybody and be fair.
Having another question, if there's someone who has an open application, but it's older than what your software program has, can they call in and say, I think there might be an issue, can you check for me?
Absolutely. It may take us a day or two to go through those records. Yes, depending on how busy we are at the moment. And Linda in our office will do that research for the homeowner.
Okay, thank you.
I have 20 years. 20 years ago.
So Kevin, yeah, so I just want to thank you very much because I know this was, we discussed this a couple of board meetings ago and so I'd like to thank you for jumping on it and putting this together.
No problem.
So,
And you're good with the wording the way it is, Kevin?
I believe so. I think it's fair. I think it's pretty clear. It references the town code. Not to make it too legal long.
Yeah.
It's to be proactive to our residents to alleviate any adversarial, things with the town and that they feel like they're not being treated fairly.
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
okay, so basically we have to transpose this letter, which is a request to the board, into a single pager that we can post, we can put on our website.
It is single page.
Yeah.
No, it is, but this is a
So-
letter to the board requesting the amnesty program. I'm saying that we can take the procedure and put it in a way that it is customer facing, basically. Resident facing, yeah.
So I'll make a motion to adopt the program as explained and presented by Kevin.
Do we need to make a motion to adopt this? Is
I
that
think
general?
it's right.
I second the
Because we're
motion.
Waiving fees, I think it's the best thing.
Even though it's okay, it's
Yeah,
100,
because,
okay.
yeah, this has to do with, we're kind of
Wait until-
suspending certain portions of the code.
Okay, asking, I got my answer. Okay.
Roll call? Do we need to do a roll call?
No, you can do all in favor. Did you get a second?
Yeah, I seconded.
Discussion? Sure, we're ready to discuss. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, next we have, this is an authorization to purchase the John Deere Gator
This is for Parks and Rec.
for Parks and Rec, and this is the, with the grant that Dan was successful in getting.
Thank you.
Nice Serta. Thank you very much, Dan,
It
for
covers the
that.
entire cost. A good portion of it.
It covers a good portion of it, but let me look at there was a resolution that,
There was, I think that Nicole presented what the funding sources were,
Right.
Yeah, she's, I guess, selling it and all.
oh yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
there was a, right,
Is
some
it-
items being auctioned off, so it's a combination of the grant money, the $10,000 plus, what was it?
I think the auction amount was like 2,600, the grant's 10,000.
Actually,
It's like 16,000.
It's 16,
Yeah.
yeah, 15,778.
For those of us who are not from Florida, can you explain what a John Deere Gator is?
It's a piece of equipment that is used for landscaping, for maintenance, when they drive around carrying
You see
stuff.
it right
It's
now, like during the library fair, it's just a little like.
fireworks.
Library fair, the fireworks,
Yeah.
by.
They're at,
It's a really nice golf cart almost, but it's got a lot
It's-
more power.
Better than a golf course because you can get it done.
non-road, it was like a deer.
That's usually with a bed.
All right.
I just wanted to
So
draw pictures, my husband
Do we-
teaches.
do we have a motion?
There we go.
I motion that we authorize the purchase of the electric John Deere Gator for Parks and Rec.
Second.
Not to
Select it.
exceed. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm gonna make the motion, I just, he helps with the grant, so.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Not to exceed $16,000.
I'll withdraw. You want your second, Dan? You got it.
Yeah, we know it's exactly 16, I mean, it's around 16.
50,778, 30 cents.
That's good.
You want a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion, all in favor?
We have to roll call this one, baby.
Oh, yeah, roll call, Rich, aye.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Tony, aye.
Andrea,
Aye.
Next is to approve the funding for the excavator. This is for highway. There is an excavator for $120,000.
And this
I
will
think
be,
it's here, right here. It's a Kubota.
this was the one that.
And
we
this is
applied
the
for
one
grant.
that we have a grant for, but the grant application needs a funding resolution, and that's the resolution that council put together for us.
Thank you to John Winter.
Oh my
because
gosh.
He's the individual who approached Peter Harcum to see if there was any grant money out there, and as a result, Peter Harcum came through with that grant money. So thank you to John for opening his mouth and going after the money.
And thank you to John Winter also for the work that he's been doing around the town of Lewisboro. We can see the edge of the road now and all the work that he's doing, leveling the dirt roads and making sure things get properly paved and curbs are reestablished. Kudos to John Winter and his team.
So somebody motion
Motion
You-
for funding
for funding resolution,
I think,
I'll move.
and I'll second.
discussion, all in favor?
Get a roll call.
Get a roll call.
Roll call, and it's attached to the agenda, right?
So it was added on, so it's probably we'll start.
So discussion, the mechanism here, we're, as I have a resolution for it, we're gonna be able to get that funded through grants, state grant,
Reimbursed.
And
reimbursed.
Where are we funding it from again? Initially.
I'm gonna read the resolution. The town board of town of Lewisboro hereby authorizes the encumbrance and expenditure of any and all funds necessary for the aforesaid purchase from the town of Lewisboro budget and funds. So it's coming out of our
Funded,
funds.
and then you
And
get
then we
the
get
grant money.
reimbursed.
To wash.
Right.
That's
It's not a wash, it's
So
a
big list.
wonderful.
And it's on a state list, so we don't have to go out.
Right, to that kind of number.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, roll
So
call.
win-win.
Rich.
Win-win.
Yes.
Mary Shaw, aye.
Andrew,
Andrea Rendo, yes.
I'm a yes. Dan?
Yeah, well, yes.
All right, next is resolution approving the renewal of license for Oak Ridge Hauling. This is for collection and disposal of refuse and recyclables. This is a typical submitted to us by Janet, so everything, nothing to be concerned about, Janet. with
Nope,
these folks?
not at all.
Andrea Rendo.
Second.
Second discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, public comment number 2. Would anyone here like to speak on new business items?
Matthew Retzky, Golden's Bridge. Just had a quick thought as we were going through new business. So I think the amnesty program is 100% a great idea. I think it's a way to bring Lewisboro residents who really feel that the town cares about cleaning up past history as well as moving forward and so on and so forth. I heard discussion about that there's really not enough time nor manpower to send out all these emails that have to go out to all the past history. Just thinking, trying to think outside the box. I don't know if that's something that high school students, maybe juniors and seniors, can come into Lewisboro and if it's just a matter of basically copy paste. Maybe they all need community service hours, they can come in and do it. Even as an adult, I'm willing to volunteer, to help do it. I mean, if that's what it means to, go out to get this cleared up, like these are the type of things that by going out to the community, that we can all band together. Let's try to find common denominators where we can do that. So thank you, that was it.
So if the board doesn't mind, I'd like to just make a point related to that.
Why don't we wait till the end of,
Okay.
to be
Okay.
consistent?
Okay.
That's all I had to say, thank you.
Thank you, Beth. Stick around. So I got something to say.
I'd like to say something. I also, as a community member, want to congratulate John Winter. We had contact with him. He is more than competent. He's a pleasure to deal with. He returns calls immediately. He actually acknowledges the receipt of calls, which I've experienced not getting acknowledged. He's a pleasure. And if you do your budget or whatever next time, perhaps you think of pumping him up a little and show him some money.
Okay, anyone else? How about on Zoom?
Carol Cernak. I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, Carol Cernak, South Salem, New York. First, I'd like to say, Rich, your question about the John Deere was hysterical. I didn't know you were such a city boy. Secondly, I'd like to give props to John Winter. He's such a breath of fresh air compared to what we've been dealing with for the past few years. So I would thank you and give all my support to him. Thirdly, I have a question about the amnesty program. I think it's a great idea. But what about the people who have recently, like within the past 60 days, paid the renewal fee and the fines and all that stuff as an ongoing project, spending, tens of $1,000s on permit fees for, doing all sorts of work? Is there any amnesty for them? These, in good faith, we have paid. We are in good standing, but I'm not quite sure why the amnesty reaches back so far and not to recent people who have in good faith paid to keep the project going. And also I'd like to suggest that your notification program of expiring building permits be upgraded. One email was sent out to our contractor. He did not receive it. And therefore, we wound up paying thousands of dollars in renewal fees and penalties. So I appreciate everything the town's doing and just would like to address that issue. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Carol. And then Kevin Kelly is on here.
Okay.
Kevin, I'm asking you to unmute.
Thank you. Just wanted to follow up on those two questions. Whoever pulls the application, and their email is on the application, is the one who gets contacted. They are the one who's pulling the actual permit. So if it's the contractor, they have some responsibility to obviously respond, but we are sending it out. The second question was asked about volunteers. We do have a 1 day a week intern that comes in, and that is his main job, to send out an email that we have prepared. And he probably puts out 40 easily a day every time he comes in. That's it.
Thanks, Kevin. That was the point I was going to make, but thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
No, that's it.
All right, so I'd like to motion approval of claims. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, polling of the board. We'll start with Rich.
Thank you. Just wanted to echo Mary's and other people's comments about our highway superintendent, John Winter. And what's really outstanding about him, he understands, based upon his own professional experience before getting here to Lewisboro. He's an exemplary leader in motivating the people in his department. And I would imagine that morale's got to be really good there. And they're doing a lot of work in our town, all kinds of infrastructure stuff in the dirt roads and catch basins and issues with the reason I'm only hesitating because I'm looking at the pictures that he sends me.
The text of the pictures.
Yeah, so it's he's utilizing his staff, showing, like I said, incredible leadership and getting stuff done for our community. It's really just exemplary and great to see a real dedicated public official to the people in the town. And just I guess second non sequitur point that with all the people that have been here and involved, I mean, one thing we absolutely have in our community, we've talked about it before, is we have an incredibly talented group of citizens in this community. And I hope that people will consider utilizing those talents and that energy to volunteer for one of the boards or committees here in town. It's an opportunity to make a difference. It's an opportunity to utilize your own professional experience, your own background, your own life experience, and dedicate it to the town and give back. That's what everybody here on this board's been doing for a long time. And myself, for a couple decades before I ended up here, it's important, it's rewarding, and the town, we all need you. And if you have something to contribute, please consider doing so. Anything from our first responders or anything else that matches up with your talents, lots of opportunities to do so. Please consider that and come forward. Thank you.
Mary.
Emergency response is one of the places you can volunteer. We have not only an entirely volunteer fire department program in Vista, South Salem, and Golden's Bridge, but the volunteer ambulance corps, the Lewisboro Volunteer Ambulance Corps. And it's not like you have to commit your entire waking moments off the clock from your day job. It can be just 6 hours a month. It doesn't have to be a lot. We need people on the emergency response committee. If there's someone who is really good with technology and computers, please reach out to me. We could really use your hand in this. The library fair is going to be happening on September 21st. Donation days are on August 10th from 9 to 1, August 17th, and August 24th. Always welcome. You don't have to do any special training. It's a great way of connecting to the community. And when you help out, it makes you feel good inside. It's really an incredible thing. It not only for the community, but for your spirit as well, because once you start volunteering, you find more connections than differences. And that's what it's all about. The library has a lot of things going on, wonderful events. Check out their website, lewisborolibrary.org. I'm not going to exhaust you with all the things that they've got on their calendar, but volunteer for the donation days at least. And come spend your money at the library fair. And the Parks and Rec department is doing a great job. There was a little confusion about water at the pool, but you can bring in your own water containers. Don't worry, just don't make them glass containers, okay? Think about the fact that glass can break and we want everyone to be safe. And make sure it's water too. No monkey business. It's a public space. I mean, just be polite to one another. And again, the politeness and consideration, you know, we're doing this after we get done with work and after I cook dinner for the family at home and feed the dogs and walk the dogs. And, you know, there's a lot and people have to practice compassion and grace just for the better. Someone's alarm is going on.
Car alarm.
Car alarm outside. Can't see, but.
You see what car it sounds.
Okay, so, rather than going on and on, just. Thank you. I am sure, I know the veterans picnic that was held by the Lions. Tony Gonzalez and I were there, and it was beautiful to be able to thank the veterans as well as the Lions for serving the veterans for their service. The fact that without our veterans, we couldn't practice our American way of life. So, and remember, if you're not registered to vote, please vote, register to vote, and then vote in November.
Thank you. Andrew.
We've had a long meeting. I've got nothing tonight. Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
Dan.
I would just jump on the John Winter subject in the form of reminding everybody that we've made some proposals in different ways to improve the efficiency of his operation, and he's doing a great job thinking about that very systematically. And my suggestion is that we do not wait until the end of the year to respond to these things, that if they have a value and a return in the efficiency and the amount of work that he gets done, that we just go ahead and try to get them done. So let's look at that.
Okay. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so I Yeah, like Kevin said, with the embassy program, we do have an intern, so we'll look at the volume of applications that come in over the course of the next September, October, 2 months. And we'll see if we do need additional help to help us with that, processing those applications. I do want to, again, John Winter is doing a great job. Thank you very much, John. I would like a shout out to Nicole Caviola from Parks and Rec. She's doing a fantastic job with Parks and Rec. Summer camp is winding down, and it's not an easy program to manage. I mean, there's a lot of different programs within the camp program in itself. So she's doing a terrific job. So I'd like to applaud Nicole for all she does to make things run smoothly. So thank you very much, Nicole.
Her entire team is just.
And her team, right, exactly. You know, they're all doing fabulous. You know, again, it's like everything else here in our town, it's you know, we're running mean and lean, and she does a wonderful job with running the programs with the resources that she has available to her. So thanks to Nicole and her team. And that's all I had. So I think the next thing is announcements. The next town board meeting is Monday, August 12th at 7:30 p.m. here at the Townhouse, 11 Main Street, South Salem. And we don't have executive session.
I'm sure I can come up with.
Did I miss something, Carrie? Maybe there is, I don't know.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, so motion to adjourn. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everyone, for coming out.
Oh, my God.
That's it, Ron.